A very warm good afternoon to one and all present here. We welcome Dr. Sitish Ghosh Sir, Dean MGMCRI, Dr. Padmavati Ma'am, Vice Principal Student Affairs. We request Ma'am and Sir to please take their chair over the dais. We welcome the organizing committee of FDP and all the delegates. Thank you to all the participants for traveling with us over the journey of 4 weeks of our FDP. We have total of 8 sessions and today we have come towards the end of with the last session. We welcome you all for the National Faculty Development Program on Well-being of Salutogenesis of University Students, which is organized by Student Salutogenesis Committee and Department of Psychiatry, Mahatma Gandhi Medical College and Research Institute, Pondicherry, in collaboration with Department of Psychiatry, AIMS, Kalyani. So today is the last session, which will be on role of mentoring in student well-being and salutogenesis. This session will be, the session will be taken by 2 speakers. So we will start the first session. So the first speaker will be Dr. Abu Bakr Sir. Sir has graduated from Pleven University, Bulgaria. Sir has worked as a senior resident in MGMCRA, brief stint in Ireland, and was assistant professor in Manja University, Saudi Arabia. Sir's area of interest is in student mental health, community mental health, and communication skills. Sir has published many research papers across various national and international reputed scientific journals. Sir also likes poetry and reading. Currently, Sir is a consultant psychiatrist at Taj Mental Health Clinic, Peyarkulam, Tamil Nadu. We welcome you, Sir. So, Sir will be taking the first session now. Over to you, Sir.
Good afternoon, just 1 second. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Am I audible? Am I loud and clear? Can someone respond?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible,
okay.
Sir.
Okay. First of all, thank you for giving me this opportunity. I mean, I thank MGMCRI and Department of Psychiatry for letting me contribute in this esteemed platform. Okay. In what capacity I'm speaking? I think the genuine, in my understanding, at least my department, my psychiatry department in MGMCRI, I have witnessed my genuine interest or passion to connect with students, and I think that is the capacity in which they've called me for this topic. It's how much I genuinely share the interest and passion to connect, and how much I'm willing to do to reach out to students. And I think that is that level is the capacity in which they've called me for this topic, and I'm deeply thankful for that. Okay, so before I jump into the role of what mentoring can do in students' well-being and salutogenesis, I think yesterday I tried to bring up the poll about what do you feel. Okay, and yes, many of you had chosen that it is mutually rewarding, and the next was that it needs it needs a conceptual or paradigm shift about how we approach mentorship or mentor-mentee system in an institution. Okay, probably because I'm away from all the institution, it also made me think sometimes, is it just a superfluous and an additional requirement of an admin? Because that thought hasn't always slipped my mind, because when there is a system in place and they ask you to do this, sometimes it looks as though it's an additional requirement, probably resource management, and that is why I added those as options as well. Okay, so first, actually, let us address the elephant in the room. Is this system useful? Okay. The US National Academy of Science, Engineering and Medicine and Global Affairs, these guys brought out a report in October 2019 about how mentoring in these scientific programs are helpful. They had 7 findings. Okay. So what are these 7 findings? And this is my, this book is one of my greatest source of all the items or all the inputs that I'm going to deal today. Okay. So what are these 7 items? The first findings were socio-demographic diversity provided benefits. So when people of different age, different socio-demographic status or came together in a constructive way, in a way to mutually, form a relationship that could be beneficial for both the people involved, it proved beneficial. However, there was a requirement that everybody should be effective and culturally responsive so that they don't give rise to a negative feeling of relationship, or where people go on with some negative aftermath or negative emotion. So yes, coming together helps, provided we're all sensitive about what background or what sort of profile the person brings to this system. The second, effective mentorship is associated with positive mentee outcomes. Okay, this is time and again studied. There is literature, that scientific literature, which try to measure outcomes, which have stated that there are better outcomes, both in academics as well as students' well-being, which allows them to be persistently productive. When done effectively, these have an outcome. I also understand the fact, or there are many literature that also cites that many of the professionals who are practicing this mentorship in a formal setting feel that the reality is different, but the outcomes that we listen are different. So I'm also aware that there is a distinction about the perception of the outcome and what is being said. But there are evidences that it is associated with the positive outcomes. Effective mentorship involves intentionality. And I think this is a very key finding, or that they have tabled, that there should be a consistent intentionality to relate from both the people involved, both the mentor and the mentees, to relate, to draw out or harness the benefit of that relationship. And this intentionality should sustain over a period of time, because we are not looking cross-sectionally at one meeting, or we are looking in terms of the over time. So it needs the consistent or persistent intentionality to contribute to this relationship for the betterment of the people involved. Identities are important. Okay. So yes, effective mentoring can integrate cross-cultural boundaries. Any sort of identities that is important, to what cohort they belong, how they want, what are their interests, all these are important. And to what cohort the mentors belong, what are their interests and what are their belief system also is important. Sometimes in an education, in an institution, we try to establish something called a scientific academic identity, which is like what is the course, what is the role they would play, what is the the role that they can aspire to, all this, that's the scientific identity. So sometimes all this plays a role in creating this relationship. And one of the most important concept that we need to understand is that shared beliefs and values, and that would allow them, the relationship, to integrate rather than just the socio-demographic matching. Okay, so that's something that's important. I will also go on about it in the forthcoming slides. Okay, effective mentorship is a learned and a developed skill. So there is an optimism that we can actually work on it, revisit it, and improve upon our skills to deliver effective mentorship. Yes, in some form, in some conceptualized form, the process and outcomes can be measured, and that allows us to make it quantifiable, or and see how we need to approach this program or the system. Okay, broadening access to effective mentorship is contingent with institutional change, which means we make changes, or we make access into a quality mentorship that brings the change in the institution itself. It brings a significant image, the people living in it, students studying it, all starts carrying the image of well organized, a system that looks into their well-being. So it gives the image that this institution cares, and that is a big change that the institution can have. So these are the 7 findings on what these US National Academics Policy have come up with. Why did I bring this first? Because I want to pitch that this is a system that, if we use it effectively, can give us results. I wanted to pitch that idea. I wanted to sell that idea that it is useful when we revisit our techniques, when we understand our limitations, when we refine it, or constantly in the search for refinement of the system, we will be proving that it is a useful system. And that's why I kind of put the findings first as a process of garnering your attention, and process of me selling this idea as a viable option. Okay. Moving on, some history. The origin of the word mentor, I mean, the myth, okay. Greek, I think mentor means a person who thinks. That's what mentor means, but it is in a masculine gender. Many a times when you go through any sort of something, when you search online and there is a history about it, there is a mythological epistemology for the word, they would come up with this story. The story of Ulysses. In Homer, King Ulysses leaves Mentor, the name of a person, as a custodian of his young son, Telemachus, before leaving to the Trojan War. So that's where it comes. He was a parental, a custodian in charge of a young prince. That's the whole idea. That's where the word mentor comes. However, with all given stories that we know as history, or when there is a custodian for a prince, he's filled with politics. And the same thing applied in Homer's poetry too. In Homer's Odyssey, mentor was more like a secondary character with all the shades of what a custodian will be. But when did this glorification of this word mentor come? In 1699, Francois Fenelon, an archbishop in France, a religious writer, he wrote a book called L'Adventures de Télémaque. In this, he envisioned that mentor was guiding Télémaque in a way that he nurtures, he acts like a surrogate parent, gives values, and brings a king. He was also responsible for the royal court's education. I think it was Louis XVI or something. He was responsible for that. He also hid a political connotation where he was the teacher. So he in fact took the mentor's role. So the book also had some way of adding weightage to his contribution into the royal court. All these things were there, but it was the most reprinted book in the 18th century, and the pedagogues of that era found it a book of a God-sent one, because it had so many things that people can learn about. From there, when people started writing about mentor, they started using many styles in which way we understand it today. So John Carruthers, in the Principles of Practice of Mentoring, in this book, one of the chapter was that he said, what does mentor mean to be? He said it means to be a father figure, a teacher, a counselor, model, an approachable counselor, a trusted advisor, and a challenger and an encourager. All these words should ring us, because we probably have associated all these words when we are thinking about mentorship. We have thought about being more like a model, a role model, a counselor, a trusted advisor, and all this. This relationship is required of full wisdom and integrity and personal investment. Okay, so this is how the word came into existence. How do we understand in today's context? Okay, so in today's concept, this literature review in 1991 by Jacob E. Mary Ann found there were 15 definitions. Cut across another decade, Crispin Cross in 2009 in literature review found 15 definitions for mentorship. The common themes under which mentoring was perceived was support and encouragement, developing skills to improve their performance, to become the person that mentee wants to be. So these were the common themes, but it was hard to pin a definition, because there are many shades to which the role itself is a complex, it's a multi-layered role. Therefore, the definition of the role also was very hard to pin down to come to one definition. If you look into the dictionary, I think Oxford English Dictionary says mentor is an experienced person who advises or helps a person with less experience over a period of time. Again, what we would be dealing in the content of the talk later, we would understand that it is always not in this flow. Okay, Merriam-Webster, Campbell, all these dictionaries put it as a trusted counselor or a guide. So that's more or less in today's context, that since the role is complex in nature, there are probably not one definitions. And why am I stressing that? Because even as we approach it, we are not clear in what are we meaning by this? What are we looking at as an outcome? Are we looking out a person's discipline? Are we looking out a person's integration into the peers? Are we looking out for his psychological well-being, less of suicidal risk and all that? Are we looking at academic? We are not even clear with it, like how the literature review also has come up. So again, that is a problem that we need to tackle with. Okay, in spite of all these definitions, in spite of all these words that are used, the roles, what a mentor needs to do, by and large, become slightly clearer. There are two things that constantly keeps appearing. One is a psychosocial support. The second is instrumental support. Okay. Now, what is psychosocial support? Psychosocial support, one part of it deals psychological and emotional well-being, where you kind of encourage the mentees, try and understand their strengths, their positivities, try and understand their weaknesses, help them to evolve and help them to address their problems. So more of active listening is used, like to listen what they're saying, and other forms of communication skills are also used, but this is for their mental well-being. So that's one part of the psychosocial. The second part is role modeling, where it is social. The first thing that we dealt is psychological. Social is where the mentor behaves or guides for the behavior, how they should navigate within an institution or within a scientific fraternity. The they serve as a guide or a map for how they should behave, the attitudes that they should hold, the values that they should. So that's the second part of the psychosocial support that one would give in the role of mentor. The second is being instrumental. Instrumental focuses on academic or career support, skill development needed to again progress in their academic or career support, or as such, whatever the mentees prefer as a skill that they should know. But this is more kind of focused on enabling him to learn more or use what the institution's primary goal is. And that's where this instrumental support comes in. The third is advocacy and sponsorship, which means mentors sometimes need to stand on the side of the mentees rather than the other side to support, to show a solidarity with him and to open up opportunities or advocate opportunities on his behalf. So these are the roles that's common in all their definitions that we understand, especially when we think about an educational system. Okay. Okay, so mentoring occurs in stages. Like there's an initiation, there's cultivation, and then there's separation and redefinition. So this is something that you would find when you look across any literature about what are the stages. The most important thing that we should know is that every stage can be beneficial. There could be positive outcomes in every stage. And sometimes, yes, of course, the negative downfall side also can be there when we are not addressing that stage of relationship carefully. There could be some negative downsides also. Why do I stress that? Because again, a consistent intentionality to do good, to reach beneficial benefits from the relationship is what is important. It is not only during initiation, it's not only throughout the mentoring relationship that intentionality is also key. And that's why I said that at every stage something positive can happen, and at every stage there could be something that goes downfall or that becomes deleterious to the relationship. Okay, so that's about stages. Now we will look into all sorts of relationship factors, like what style, what structure, what type, and all that. Okay, long gone this idea of unidirectional or hierarchical. Again, long, as I said in the introduction itself, what Oxford Dictionary says, a highly experienced person supporting a low experienced. Long gone that unidirectional or hierarchical or apprenticeship model. It becomes redundant now, because it is at least now it is no way to relate a person to think, okay, I am a person of, that the imbalance in that hierarchy that doesn't allow an equal footing to the relationship may bring its own dynamic conflicts, and probably that would disrupt an effective mentorship. So nowhere now it is unidirectional. I mean, it can't be conceptualized in this way. Rather, it has to be understood as a collaborative process where there's reciprocal and dynamic involving planning, acting, reflecting, questioning. And it means that, yes, as you all said, what about the other person in that relationship? What about that mentee's role? Yes, we are stressing that when it is collaborative, when it becomes reciprocal, when it is dynamic, then it is rewarding. It is mutually beneficial. Okay, that's exactly, I come up with this. Lee in 2015, he brought up this term called mentoring up, which means the mentee's proactive engagement is also a vital component, or he even stressed that is the vital component of an effective mentorship. So yes, we need to I probably would agree with all of you when said, yes, it is also the role of mentees. But I would be slightly withdrawn to say that how can they understand the importance of this relationship? They couldn't do it out of a thin air. As soon as they step into institution in the first years, when you allot a mentor-mentee system, I don't think a student would grasp that this system can effectively contribute to their well-being if taken in the right sense. So I wouldn't share that part. We think that from thin air, they should be able to grasp that and go on. We probably are expecting that they should step up into their adult shoes immediately as soon as they're entering into the institution, which I'm slightly uh, uh, reserved about that idea. Okay. So having said that, there are three essential aspects of this working relationship. We call this as like a professional or therapeutic or a working relationship. So any sorts of relationship, first and primary focus is development of the bonding. And that is the key thing. And then comes within that liberty of that bond, we can set on agreements and goals, and then we can assign tasks and periodically check and revisit. So those are the three aspects. And this, when I say it is equally important on both the mentors and mentees to develop the bond, to agree on certain goals. I'll call you up this time. You can come back to this time. Certain things, whatever be, the mentees can have certain goals for the mentors, and the mentors can do so too. And then assigning tasks. Okay, so that's the kind of structure or relationship that we are talking about. Okay, now the structure. In a traditional sense, we always talk about dyad, which is one-to-one, and that's more or less the most effective or the most prevalent style of mentoring system or structure. However, we are now no longer stuck to that word dyadic or a traditional sense of mentoring relationship. Now we are even talking about mentoring constellations. Because I think in all your experiences as being, as a part of being our colleagues in an institution, you would know that no student is actually sticking to one teacher, even if it is informal, even if it's spontaneously formed. They might be comfortable with one teacher or a professor for one thing, and they might admire another profession for another thing. So you see that the sense that dyad is probably not the only way of relating. There is a multi-level or multi-structure of thinking or conceptualizing mentor relationship. So now it can be a group of mentor to a mentee, or it can be a mentor to a group of mentee. There is peer and near mentoring, e-mentoring, mentoring even through workshops, seminars, and presentations. I think when Sarkar sir mentioned about in the previous thing, he called something a super mentor, and all these are mentoring constellations. You have a mentor, and there is a mentor or a head who would even look into what the mentor does or what problem he brings, and then they would solve. So these are mentoring constellations. So there is a super mentor, then the mentor. So yes, it is an interesting triad, and you can think of various ways of like this, and some of the models are actually very interesting. Okay, now we have these three types under which we see the type of interactions: formal versus informal, structured versus unstructured, directive versus non-directive. They are not mutually exclusive. You can, put into your own mix, eclecticalness, to give the best form. So they need not be mutually exclusive. That one, there need not be one style. There need not be one way of functioning. You can pull in different components of all these type of interactions. First, the informal, because this is what spontaneously happens. This is what sustains longer, and this is what probably is more rewarding, because they, suddenly out of nowhere, a faculty and a student may develop a bond in which there are lots of professionalism, and there is lots of caring that is involved. And this sustains. This is where people receive lots of psychological and emotional well-being support, sometimes more than their instrumental support. Compare, if you see their psychological and emotional support is more in this style of informal or spontaneously developing mentoring relationship than the instrumental support. So there is a higher quality of relationship, a greater trust, a greater satisfaction. Okay. And many of the literature says this sustains. You go about a search and find what these formal mentoring relationships rate of adherence, or however you put it, how long does it sustain? Some call the failure rate, I mean, with the range 50% to 80%. That is the failure rate they give. And the long sustaining one is the spontaneously forming mentoring relationship. However, this doesn't come without drawbacks. Because at least culturally, when we are speaking in our land, when you think a spontaneously forming relationship between a faculty and a student, suddenly there is also a boundary violations, or the boundary is slightly less clear. A student might come, can I use your car? Can I borrow some money? So, this confusion, because it is not a structure that was given. It is not an instruction that was given. It is a relationship that forged spontaneously. So the boundary becomes slightly porous. So there is a sort of downslide to it. But this is the most successful type of interaction. So whatever we do in a systematic or in a formal way, there is lots of learning to take in from this relationship. Again, here I'm just saying informal. Can this be structured? Yes, this can be structured. I have it. I have a friend who we informally connected, but now a student. And I say, at least since we are hard pressed of time, he's pursuing a PG. I say, in our next talk, we'll only talk these things. That's all. No more about how's your family, what you're doing. No, not those sweet little things that would casually interact with. So again, I'm trying to emphasize that the style of interaction need not be mutually exclusive. You can borrow it. You can work on all the way. But there is a key lessons to learn from this informally, spontaneously generating relationship. You should be able to extrapolate those components and come in to a structure or formal type of interactions. So the next is formal. Okay, so this is where it turns out, this is where what we are dealing with. This is where it turns a bit of interesting. And this is where we think how a system fails or how a system doesn't do well, because this is something that a third party necessitates the pairing, the relationship. And the affiliation of that third party is the defining factor in this relationship, because it brings in certain dynamics, certain obligations, and it kind of it subdues that spontaneity. So yes, so third party affiliation will contribute. There should be some reporting mechanisms, there should be some obligations for it, writing, documenting. Sometimes the relationship is not going on well, nobody is interested, yet it has to go. So yes, this is where we need to think about all our factors that we are actually dealing with. Again, I would think about how to bring about those spontaneous generating of relationship, of mentoring relationship into the structure as well. And they have tried it. Okay. So within this, yes, because of a third party involved, because there is a formal thing, we did not think that it has to be robotic, it has to be forced, and it has to be less. No, we need not think that. We can conceptualize in a way that this can also be beneficial. However, in spite of the third party, in spite of professional obligations and a hierarchical administration level of all obligations, both for the mentor and the mentee, the person-centric view of a mentorship relationship should not go away. That's how teaching and everything else is different. Teaching is more of a curriculum-centric. You need to focus on the curriculum. You need to get it done. But here it is more of a person-centric. We are addressing the person. We're thinking that it's time to know him or her, and it is a person-centric relationship, and that should not be lost when carrying out of this huge formal requirements of this relationship. Okay, this is what I understand, and this is the major lacunae in the system, at least in the systems that I've seen, both in MGMCRI and even in Saudi Arabia. Because Arabs are good in their language skill, especially if they speak to a fellow Arabs. Their greeting can take 15 minutes longer. So they are very good at their language skill. Yet there is a major lacuna in this. When you think about formalizing a mentor relationship, the simplest formalization is actually find a match or for the mentors. How would you generate an interest for a student that this is your mentor? We don't have that system. We just say, here is your mentor. That fellow will not have a clue. Sometimes he even asks his friends which department, what interest would he come with, what curiosity he would come with. Whereas if you think about a real life scenario, even if someone adds to a Facebook, a student adds as a friend in a Facebook, imagine what profile he has. He has a window to see the life of a mentor. What is his values? What is his interest? And I think this is what we have to learn. We don't match mentor and mentees. And you know what? There are softwares to match. There are free and paid softwares to match, getting all the interests and hobbies and their portfolios and then feeding in the students' interests and expectations. And then they come up with. So there are ways, and that is the simplest form. We are talking, and when we don't get that thing first correctly, then what are we thinking about how that person is contributing, how the students are regular? I think the first essential step is a great miss in both across. I think both in where I've witnessed this relationship. This is something that I found common. Okay, now even this is interesting. Dave Chapman, they came up with this called an American psychologist. She came up with this called this model called Tribe Mosaic model, which means everybody needs someone to associate with, someone to serve as a connector to a larger crowd, someone to coach in the specific field, or someone to targetedly train certain areas of weaknesses, someone to advocate them, someone for their emotional and psychological well-being. And actually the choice is given to the students for what they would choose which mentors. I think we can learn from this. We can actually have a session when we are sensitizing students what is the importance of the mentorship, and we can actually have a profile being projected to kindle an interest and make their choices. So this matching is something that needs to be revisited in our way of conceptualizing the mentorship program. Okay, now comes the structure. Sometimes structure are useful and beneficial. It helps us to be beneficial. It helps us to be efficient. So yes, sometimes we can use structures. We can think about any structure. You can think about throughout the relationship, what is the structure that you would want to. You can think about having a structure in session. You can even think about a structural way of interacting. All this is okay, but you should extrapolate many components of what spontaneous relationship and add to structures so that it becomes beneficial. See, there are various question models that are available, how to use even questioning to build a relationship, and there are structures to it. Some of the models, I'm just listing one or two here. The start, continue, finish. I'll just give you an example here. See, for example, do you know why are you at this meeting? These are questions of starting that relationship. So there are certain questions that you can vision under the starting, and there are certain things that you can vision under continuing that relationship with plans, agendas, with coming up with some facilitators allowing that person to speak to. So you can visualize how you would interact in these certain structures. And there are lots of materials that are available to go through. So one of these are like start, continue, finish. They were like describe, evaluate, value, and action plan. Asking them to describe and also trying to making them evaluate, the mentees evaluate what are they coming or what would they be useful, and you will also evaluate. And there are certain things that you would think it is associated with their values, and then maybe you'll come up with action plan. Then there is something called establish, expand, and explore. So all these are style of questionings. You can think There's lot, I think I emphasized that there are lots of planning into a mentoring relationship. So a person coming for a session within the context of there should have been lots of planning, how you would interact, how would you start it, what is the one that you focus. There is a lots of preparation that needs to go to deliver it effectively. And then there is a directive and non-directive continuum model. Downey in 1999 put it this way, that there are two end of that continuum. One is going towards non-directive and one goes to the directive. Directive is where you kind of given the directions to take to make him in a way to choose one, make choices. And the non-directing is trying to reflect and not give out explicitly, or not even kind of give out the options from ourselves, but generating the options. So both can be again used. Sometimes you need to be directive, sometimes it is good to lend a ear and listen carefully and acknowledge what is being spoken. So both are useful. So think about how you can do lots of permutations and combinations with these types of interactions: formal, informal, structured versus unstructured, directive versus non-directive. Some theoretical understanding about how a human or a mentee behaves and how it can help, it can help us to create the culture. Okay, the first thing that we have to, these are few theoretical backings that I have come up with in the contents that I read. I thought that these are something that is worth mentioning. See, in the ecological system of theory, an individual is seen product of the context, on how he connects with different aspects of his context. And that the context also influences the way one behaves. So you see, when we are dealing only with mentor and mentee, these are the micro system that we are talking about, a mentor, a mentee, and how this works. But we'll have to think about a broader aspect about what is the institute's point of view towards mentoring? How is it projected? Is it projected as a cool happening thing between their friends and colleagues, or do they talk about, oh, this is another obligation? So do they want to shun it off? Do they want to skip class? So what are we doing for its acceptance as a cool factor? And you should I probably think that people should have testimonials from the previous mentor-mentoring to say to the younger, to make it attractive, because we are product of the context. So it not just depends upon A and B, a mentor and a mentee. It depends on how the individuals of these two microsystems starts interacting with the other systems, right? It could be how, like if you consider a mentor and a mentee and another teacher in this becomes the exosystem. And these systems, when they're interacting with an institutional or organizational or a society, it becomes a mesosystem. Across time, it becomes chronosystem. So it is a product of context. So can we put in to modify or to add, factors that would enhance mentoring relationship or affinity towards this mentoring relationship in the context itself? So these are something that you can see, just personal related is what mentor related intrapersonal factors, mentee related interest factors, how much the perceived similarities, this perceived similarity, they pull it to an extent. And I think I have enough said about matching, because some are deep similarities that the mentees and mentors are looking for. Some are superficial similarities. And these similarities are the key to think, okay, we are connecting, we are synchronizing. So this is the system. And this system, when it interacts with how a larger institutional system-based system or organizations-based system, what is their interaction, how each individual behaves within this ecosystem, and the total setup, the culture, the political, the economical structure is your mesosystem. So you can think that there needs to be addressing the context as well to make it look or sellable. Okay. Yes, the next is this social cognitive career theory, where it says, what we value or what we aim at is also socially construed. So our interests, our choices and goals are all based on socially construed values. So if a mentee comes and says, or even if I says to someone, I aspire to be this, then probably I have a social value attachment to it. I probably think I need to become this because this is how the social would view, this is how I would integrate with the society. So these are value systems that I derive from. Looking into that, if you start questioning what are their choices, what are their goals and ambitions, you can think beyond that and think why they've come to these choices and why are they thinking this is important, how socially they think it is important for them to integrate with this achievement. So what this helps is, it helps the person to improve self-efficacy. If you can say that a person is interested in certain things, I would want to host the Talentia in MGMCRA, then we should start looking what is the social values that he is looking about in expressing this wish, and then identify, oh, okay, these are qualities that you're looking for, and then probably you encourage him to not just that hosting, but the values that are connected to that social identity. So that kind of improves one's self-efficacy. Tripartite integration of social influence, that is when you think about integration into a certain society or a structure, there are certain rules and roles and there are certain values. And when you think a successful integration is by taking that subculture's rules and roles and values and using it effectively, and then you start integrating well. So here's where the mentors can actually be a role model and show that how they have integrated the rules and roles and values of this fraternity of whatever they belong to, their specialization, the clinician, anything. They serve as a guide and a copy, and they can start saying that this is the model that I work. And this kind of role modeling or a lesson from a personal life allows a better connect and probably allows a realistic way of setting timeline or goals and all that. So these are a few theories that I've looked. And just, why am I saying this? Because there are ways that you can conceptualize. It needs lots of thinking, the ways that you can conceptualize to contribute to the relationship. Think how to bring in changes in an individual. Okay, when you go through any sort of literature for what are the core skills, they list these 4 skills as the core skills. One is active listening, building trust, determining goals, and building capacity, encouraging and inspiring. Okay, I think the foremost importance would be for active listening, because that is one of the communication skills. Yes, the other communication skills are also important, like questioning. All that is important, your nonverbal, your warmth for the person to approach, the eagerness, all that is important. But let me say that the active listening for any relationship is important. You feel that you're listened to. We all probably, sitting in if you're a parent to a toddler, you would probably know, I have to listen to my daughter's story thoroughly. If I turn my head away, she would start blasting. You're not listening. So that's what active listening. You should actually convey that the other person is being listened to. So yes, that's the core skill that is expected that we come up in this relationship. Yet I agree with all of you when they say that there is a role and responsibility for the mentees. So in this model, it's the skill that is shared between the mentee and mentor. There are certain specific skills, but this building trust, encouraging, that is a common skill for both the persons or stakeholders involved. Okay. Yes, the skill that needs from the mentees is that they show initiative, they follow through the plans, they learn quickly, and probably they start using other ways of having inspirations, And here we need to think about how to give feedbacks, how to criticize positively, constructively, how to manage risks, what are the ways that we should manage this, what are the ways that we would encourage them to a newer kind of role. These are things that we should think about. Okay, so last few slides, I think. when it comes to effective mentor behavior, this is what we say, align expectations. So first we should know what is the expectation of the mentee. Then we can align, and then we can assess the understanding. What is his understanding when coming into the relationship? What is the understanding that I have to contribute in this relationship? What is the understanding of a plan proposed to him or her? When we go out, when we conclude a session, these are the working points. Have they understood? So assessing their understanding, communicating effectively, okay, addressing equity and inclusions. What I mean is that irrespective of across all demographics, they should feel that they belong to. And also we should think about fostering independence, because the negative side of mentoring can be that the mentees become too dependent. So these are effective mentor behavior that needs to come along. Okay, now what are the organizational barriers? Some of the things that we have already dealt with, and that's what we're coming with. If we think the existing system is okay, that is the barrier. If you think that it is, we have two persons involved, they should take care of them. No, it's not going to work. We need to revisit. There would be problems. We need to rethink, audit, revisit, align ourselves. Okay. A commitment to, and only comforting within the traditional mentorship. Again, we need to think about, there can be other systems as well. To call this relationship failure by totally attributing the responsibility to the mentees, again, that is a barrier, because then we don't have any scope of improving. We always, the ball is in that young student's court. He should find something and make this relationship work, which is slightly unfair. And yes, support and implementations of institutions trying to promote and progress or give a commitment, those things would, if there is nothing of that sort of, then it becomes a barrier to bring about effective mentorship. This is the last, this is the last slide that I have. So, these are things that would facilitate from an organization style and to an extent to an individual style also. First, we need to adopt a term on what context or what is the definition of when we are saying mentorship. We can't look into everything. Sometimes we are lost, because my experience is whenever there's a disciplinary issues, they probably bring up the mentor. Whenever there's a mental health crisis, they probably bring up a mentor. Otherwise, or whenever there is too much of decline, which means that only at crisis we ring the bell. We are not seeing on what terms are we defining it first before approaching it. That's one. Second, the institutions should, or the organizations should support these mentorships by funding, probably by rewarding, by constantly arranging certain trainings and all that, or even by making it cool in the campus, by selling that is one great idea about the campus. Like we sell the infrastructures we have, we sell, we boast about certain things that stand as a signature mark of our institutions. So yes, we should. And I think MGMC has done a great deal in having the salutogenesis department itself as a big thing from the beginning since I was associated. Yes, so that's a great work. And like that, we have to think about making this as a cool concept, a signature mark of the institution. We should think about measuring the outcomes and feedback so that we can, and analyzing the feedback so we can constantly improve the system. We should think about rewarding effective mentorship, because that kinds of creates the culture. And yes, actually, institutions need not always reward it in a financial way. They can reward it in any way, and there can be training of mentors also view under multiple mentoring structures, and training mentors also important. See, this is the article that I've attached, where this person at around 4-6 months of every month, 2 days of a mentorship program involving the teachers and of low and middle economic countries, including India. In India, the center was in Bangalore. They found that the mentoring relationship kind of improved. So mentoring the mentors or training the mentors also to an effective system will always be helpful. Yes, they found various barriers also, like cultural barriers where the kind of, we respect that the hierarchies needs to be maintained. all that we kind of value boundaries. So all this barriers also they witnessed, but having a way or adapting or training ourselves to have a navigation through this was also interesting, and it opens up newer ways of interactions. Yeah, so those are my references. Thank you, and I can share my inputs if you have any questions.
Thank you, sir. The forum is now open for discussion. You can put your questions in the chat box. We will be moving on for the next session, which will be the continuation of the same topic. So the next speaker for the same session will be Dr. Padmavati S. Ma'am. She is Professor of Pharmacology with the post-PG teaching experience of 12 years. Ma'am is currently the Vice Principal Student Affairs of MGMCRI. She has done her undergraduation from Kilpauk Medical College and post-graduation in Pharmacology in MGMCRI Pondicherry. Ma'am is the coordinator of Mentor-Mentee Committee of the Institute. Ma'am is also the member of Student Salutogenesis Committee. And ma'am has completed an online course on exploring the student affairs in higher education profession conducted by Colorado State University. So over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Pooja, for the introduction. Good afternoon, one and all present here, as well as the participants who were present online. Let me start the session with a quote. I think all of you will agree with this quote. A mentor is someone who allows you to see the hope inside yourself. I think everyone will agree with this. So that is the particular character of a mentor, that is an effective mentor. So whatever even you could do not identify, whatever the better you have, a mentor can identify and enhance that character of yours. So with this, we will move on to the session. It is about the role of mentoring in students' well-being and salutogenesis. And the previous speaker, Dr. Abubakar, has already clearly explained what is mentoring, what are the different types of mentoring, how the structure of mentoring, and what are the benefits of mentoring, and everything he has mentioned. So here I want to discuss in continuation with this. I want to share to you a few success stories, what we have achieved in our institute through this mentor-mentee program, and also what are the challenges we commonly faced during this mentor-mentee program, so that it will be helpful for you also to enhance your mentor-mentee program. And we expect more opinion from the participants so that we can also improve our system further. So moving on to this slide, do you think it's essential? Do you think the mentoring program is essential? I need some response from the online participants. Participants? Can I get the response at least in the chat box? So faculty also have turned like students. Okay. Okay, so many are agreeing that it is essential. So I will share a thing that happened recently in the before 6 months, and hope all of you understand what is the need for mentoring. 6 months back, a first year student came and met me and told that he is not interested to attend the sessions further and he want to quit the course. Okay, this is what the statement he has given to me. And I asked, what is the reason for that? He replied that the faculty have scolded and I feel depressed and it is too annoying and I couldn't cope up this. So I want to quit the course. I feel that I cannot make it again. Then I asked, okay, mostly all of you may think what might be the reason. Obviously, as the other faculty, I also thought his academic performance is not good. So I asked his academic performance. What is your academic score in the internal assessment? He replied that he has scored 50% in 2 subjects and another subject 48%. Do you think a faculty will score for this kind of performance? It is not a bad score. Definitely he has achieved the average score 50%, but still he felt so. Then I asked, you have got the good score. Is there any other reason for the faculty to scold? But he told the faculty have not scolded in particular or in person to me, but she scolded the entire batch. Okay. So do you think as a student, when you wear, do you think this will be troubling you a lot? Definitely not. So the current generation, there are plenty of people who are more emotional and they need a lot of emotional support. Even a generalized statement, the student could not take, he has taken it so personally that he want to quit the course because he thinks that he is incapable of continuing the course. But it is a general statement. It was the overall batches is addressed, and the overall batches only they have mentioned that the performance is poor. Okay. So this is the status of the current Z generation of people. Even though their knowledge is more, they are able to do multitasking and plenty of other things, but their emotional stability is, I feel that it is little lower than our generation. So what is mentoring? Already Abu Bakr has told that it is a formally arranged one by the institution. Definitely yes, due to certain accreditation, and now even NMC also insists that each institute should have a mentor for a student. So we have to go for the guidelines. So we are arranging it as a formal program, but studies have shown that the informal way of mentoring lasts longer and provides sufficient guidance to the student, and it is long-lasting relationship between the mentor and the mentee. And when considering mentoring, more than the postgraduates, the undergraduate mentoring is more important because that is the major time where the student needs more amount of emotional support. And they are taking more amount, that period, that age group is the matter where they take more amount of emotional decisions. So after 25 till 18 to 25, most of the decisions will be emotionally taken. So they need more attention and more guidance during this period. So coming to the qualities, I think already sir has told, these are the essential things that an effective mentor should have. They should have adequate expertise in the area of study of the student, what they are willing to do. They should be able to devote time and energy for the mentee, and it should be acceptable whenever they are approaching them, whenever they are in a need, and they should be more approachable and accessible. These are the qualities of an effective mentor. Let me share some of the success stories in our institute. And this is what we have asked the students, particularly the mentees, to write about their mentors. And I'll quote few examples. So I have made it a readable format for you. So this is the first meeting of the mentee with the mentor. What she has told, I have highlighted few things in black and few in red to concentrate on more. So at first, I dismissed the idea and concept of the mentor and mentee, thinking it would be not worth of time and energy. So this is the first opinion of a mentee about the mentor-mentee program. But during the first session with Sir, that is, Sir is her mentor, itself proved that I was completely wrong. And she has identified and she has neatly compiled what she has achieved through this mentorship. She has trusted the expertise, what he has shared. He has created self-awareness, and he also made me look at my life as a medical student in an aspect so beautiful. So this is what she she hasn't expected from a mentor, but it has happened. And he helped me in identifying needed knowledge and expanding my growth opportunities in personal and professional aspects. And she has concluded by saying, Sir is surely my role model. So these are the features, these are the characters what Dr. Abubakar has explained as an ideal mentor should have. Okay. So this, we haven't taught them what their ideal mentor should be, but these are written by a mentee on her own words about a mentor. Coming to other examples, another mentee has written, my mentor, ma'am, being from same state as mine, also with same mother tongue, has always helped me in every way possible. Reason being, not able to get proper sleep, ma'am also helped me during my initial homesickness days. Ma'am guides me in each subject with what to do and what not. Having a meeting with the mentor relieves my stress every time. Okay. So the mentoring, it will differ from stage to stage. Hopefully this student might be a first-year student who had some trouble in adjusting to the environment, who had far away from her home. And this mentoring has helped her to relieve her stress. That is what we need actually from a mentoring program. So we all know that emotional stability and support is essential for the performance of their academics also. So all are interdependent factors. Another example is first week of my college days were so new and different, but my college gave me an opportunity to open up myself to a person who know about this college well. She was my mentor. She helped me in accommodating to this college and with new people. She also gave me a great mental support. Thank you, ma'am, for everything. So the adjustment at the initial stage, especially for the first years, is very much essential. And if it is overcome, they can do the rest of the years very well with their academics. And this support is definitely will continue throughout their course. Another important story is a person's life is saved through mentoring. Okay. Actually, the student, that is the mentee, has texted the mentor that he wants to meet the mentor for some reason. He has not mentioned what is the reason. So the mentor accepted his request. Even though it was after the working hours, he called the concerned mentees and asked him to come and meet him. Okay. So the mentee came and met the mentor and told that due to some miscommunication, the concerned HOD has scolded warned all the unit interns because of some miscommunication. That warning was also, again, it was in general, it was not in particular, but he developed suicidal tendencies because of the warning. He has overthought about that particular incident, and he has overthought about it, and he thought of having suicidal tendency also. Okay. So because of the mentor who counseled the student effectively immediately, the student after half an hour of interaction felt well. And after that also the mentor contacted the mentee overnight and also in the morning and made him comfortable so that he could not go for a wrong intentional suicidal thoughts. Okay. So this is the way how a mentoring program can help. So far we have shared the common success stories, and at the same time, every coin has two sides. We also have faced challenges. And what are the common challenges? Most of you will agree is definitely the scheduled meeting we cannot make up. Either the mentee will held up with some extra work or personal issues or family issues, or the mentor might be busy with their own work schedule. Okay. So to overcome this, initially we have allotted a time duration for meeting the mentor on a regular basis, on a monthly basis, but still we found it is not working. So we left to the choice of the mentor and mentee to have their own scheduling time, but at least try to meet them on a monthly basis on their both the people's availability. And another incident is ineffective mentoring pace. We all know in our institute, actually, we allot the mentor and mentee in a random manner, and sometimes it may match with the mentor and mentee, sometimes it may be ineffective. I got a call as a part of a member of coordinator of mentor-mentee program. I received a call from a faculty stating that the mentee is troubling me by texting me through WhatsApp. Actually, the first meet itself, this clash has happened. It is all because the mentee was not free initially. So she texted, because we have insisted that they have to go and meet the mentor. She has texted him about his availability, but he felt that is not professional. This is not the way to approach a faculty. And this made a little bit misunderstanding between the mentor and the mentee. So at times it will happen, but only thing is, unless they both sit together and talk to each other, these things can be overcome with effective communication between them. And sometimes we need excessive time and energy and commitments to meet the mentee. And of course, most of the faculty may find it difficult because of their own working busy schedule. And sometimes even the mentees, because of their tests and other commitments, assignments, they also find it difficult. And sometimes there is some unrealistic expectations from the mentor. They will set a goal which is not matching with the mentee, and the mentee will find it very difficult to achieve that particular target. So that kind of challenges also we have faced. These are some of the students' common complaints we have received. Students have mentioned that they never give timely answers to my calls. And some have mentioned, makes me feel like I'm bothering him or her. Sometimes they are too busy, the meeting is rushed, advice is vague, I don't know what to do afterwards. Same time, we have collected the complaints from the mentor also. So these are some of the complaints we have received. Calls without organizing his or her thoughts. So she randomly rushes and without any, it is better to make a checklist and go and meet the mentor, whatever the points to be discussed, and calls with unimportant matters. Okay, they need some amount of help in some other aspect, which is irrelevant as a mentor. And thinks he or she is the only student I have. Okay, this also many faculty have complained that they are troubling them a lot and often contacting them and disturbing them during their own personal space, and expects me to rescue him or her from problems. Okay, so they will not contact the mentor unless they have some own personal issues, or if they have some difficulty with any of the department's faculty. So at that time, they will call the mentor and seek their help. So these are the complaints. There are complaints from both the sides, but effective mentoring can work only if it is working in a two-way process. Both the mentor and the mentee should be more cooperative with each other, more understanding. There should be a trust, mutual trust between them. All this only can help a mentoring program to a success. So in summary, mentoring is a practical and effective solution to bring transformative learning. I hope all of you will agree. And all of you know that mentors are not born, they are made. Mentoring can be learned, but while formal approaches are much needed to lay a foundation, the informal approaches can contribute to a long enduring relationship. Mentoring should be stage specific rather than department specific, and a culture of mentoring and feedback always go together. So whenever you meet a mentor, give a positive and constructive feedback that will be helpful for them to make their future better. So with this, I conclude my topic on role of mentoring. And in the previous sessions, one of the participants have asked about the courses on mentoring. I have Googled it and found certain courses which may be helpful. And this is the mentoring course provided by the Udemy Academy, but it is a paid one. Another mentoring courses given by the Skillsoft. They are providing the course as well as they are selling it as a book as well as an audio books. And Mentoring University provides 4 courses. Here I have highlighted only 2. Again, it is a paid version. So there are plenty of courses available, both paid and free courses, but it is up to us to change our attitude and involvement. It is a completely voluntary process. Unless we think better, we cannot provide a better mentorship to a student. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. So the forum is now open for discussion. We would please request all the delegates to kindly post their comments. This question is for Abu sir. So Shiva Prakash sir has asked, what do you feel about a system for collecting formal feedback from the student regarding their experience with their respective mentors? Is it useful and practical? If yes, what should be the frequency and modality? If this feedback is routed back to the faculty in a confidential manner, the faculty may benefit from it, right? So.
Okay. So there's another question that he asked.
Yes, sir. Oh, one more question. Yes, sir. Is there some, sir, Dr. Abu, I recollect that you were an excellent mentor to several MBBS students during your tenure here. Is there some way mentors can learn from other mentors through modeling or some other methods? it is a reality that all faculty do not have the same mentoring skill. Can we learn from those who are great mentors? Over to you, sir.
Okay. So thank you. Thank you for the questions as well. And thank you for giving me this opportunity as well and the confidence that you share. Yes, I think there is, there can be learning from other mentoring or other great mentors, provided we take that skill, name that skill and make it as a learnable skill. You know, like sir said, sir has credited me being an excellent or was a good mentoring when I was there. Luckily, I was not part of the formal matching or anything. All that happened was informal. Yet I can still relate the skills under certain skills in which I actually forged that relationship. So yes, there'll be great way to learn, provided we break that components, we name the skill and then create that module. So all the components that I look, if at all I've done a good job in mentoring few students, I can look them through the lens of effective mentoring skills. I was always accessible. The first thing that I would actually think that was pretty unique is that I was always approachable and accessible. I had never given any sense of discomfort for any student that I interact with. So that is a skill that can be copied, that can be learned, to make it approachable, to show that warmth and approachability. Second, to always be accessible in one form or the other. There is that eagerness to connect, you know, and to show that eagerness to connect as part of the communication skills, to have something of what they've said, and again to say that I listened even through your previous conversation. So all this comes to an communication skills. And then valuing that itself, I really valued the relationship that I shared with the students. And I still, I mean, even out of the institute, I still have the last batch, some students texting me. So I personally value. So trying to construe that social value for an effective mentorship, all these can be broken into components and can be learned. Yes, so there could be lots of learning from great mentors. About collecting formal feedbacks from students, I think any feedback should definitely work. I mean, knowing what went into that relationship, what contributed, what was problem, and then yes, there are lots of ways to do it. We probably need not root it through the exact words of the student. There is something called reflective practice where we all can sit and we can think, okay, these are the feedbacks that we have come. How do we think we need to address it? So it need not be very instructive or directive. It still can take a non-directive stance, and we still can collectively contribute of refining the lacunae in that feedback. So yes, feedback will help. We can determine in what frequency, but we can actually work it as a group, a collective way of looking into it, and not necessarily use it like a pointing fingers, or use it like a, you know, not to hide the judgment tonality within that message that we pass on. I think I've answered, sir.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am. So, sir is, ma'am, there's a question. Dr. Padmavati, madam, you had mentioned that mentoring program is required by accreditation bodies. How is the data submitted to NMC or NAC? If and when they ask for it, does it come under a NAC criteria?
Yes, may I know who have asked?
Prakash sir has.
Yes, sir. It's actually they have asking about the mentor-mentee program, and they have asking the details how it is going about, even the logbook, what the mentee is having should be filled up and should be submitted. A copy of it should be submitted to them. Mr. Saravanan, I think, has asked, ma'am, all these courses are government body approved? No, sir. Actually, they are online courses, not approved by any government bodies. One Shivaprakasam sir has asked, can you share the free courses available for mentor-mentee program? Sure, sir. We will share it in the group so that you can check it.
Any other questions?
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Abu Bakr sir and Padma ma'am, the sessions were very insightful. Thank you so much. I have a question to Abu Bakr sir. Sir, sometimes we have difficult students. Like in spite of talking to them multiple times, multiple sittings, they really do not open up. So have you ever come across a situation like that, and how did you go about it?
You know, again, I think, yes, I totally agree. Okay. But like all relationships, we need to probably give time, and we need to create an environment where he or she feels welcomed. And I think that's what, by definition, rapport or some connection between two individuals is a spontaneous thing. All we can do is make it conducive. We can't make the rapport itself, but we can make things that could favor it. So I think any way of connecting with them is trying to understand them, trying to show that they're important, trying to show some eager. I mean, I think that's what takes to build the rapport. Yes, and it would take time. I would still say it is unrealistic. Once the mentee or mentor list is given, he comes and sits and gives all the problem. I don't think that is a realistic expectation of any relationship. It has to grow. It has to see that people are wanting it to grow, and then the rapport establishes. Then there is, so there needs to be time and effort for it. So it is a process.
Thank you, sir. Any other queries?
Saravanan sir has mentioned that the mentor-mentee program is not working well in paramedical college students. It's up to the institute to take some steps towards it, sir. This is not whatever the success we have shared. It has not happened within few days. It will take some time to make the program more effective, and there should be mutual both the mentor and the mentee should understand its importance, and both should be trained so that we can get we can keep it more better.
Thank you, ma'am. So we would like to thank all the participants. And before we move to the validatory function, we would kindly request all the participants not to leave the WhatsApp group, which was created for this FDP, as there will be resource material which will be shared, and also about information about the e-certificate. Now, we would request one of our delegates to kindly give the feedback about this FDP. You can please unmute yourself and give your opinions about the FDP. We request the participants to kindly unmute and give the feedback about the overall FDP sessions. Alina ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I found the session very, very useful. I personally very interested in mentoring students and taking care of their mental well-being. So for me, I had a lot of questions and everything was kind of new because we don't really have a structured program. It is not a part of our curriculum. So for me, it was like I learned a lot from this FTP as such. I even learned like how do I put it across to the management, because that is one of the biggest challenges I think that we face. Even if we have an interest, convincing the management to start a committee, a student welfare committee or a salutogenesis committee is a difficult task. So right from there to how effectively we can mentor a student, I think this was very useful. One request that I would like to make to the management is maybe we can have more frequent training programs or training sessions where the faculty are trained how to become a good mentor. Maybe more practical stuff where we get to talk to students, interact with students.
Thank you,
something
ma'am,
like
for
that.
your suggestions. Yes, we are planning, because as you know, like even if I can say that from administrator point of view, although we claim that the mentor-mentee system is there in our place for a long time, and it has gone over like what lot of changes has happened, starting from the allotting mentors, facing the challenges from the initial days, and the formation of the salutogenesis committee to look after the things. And as you know, like what you can say, I think in during this period itself, you could found it out that what you can say, like mentor-mentee committee alone cannot work. It has to be a coordinated work between everybody. And as you know, like, because yes, first we have to break the silos in our mind that yes, it can work. And for that, as you know, like a lot of mindset change is required among the faculty. And for that, as you know, rightly you have pointed it out that lot of training for the faculty is also required. And yes, we are planning to have that type of workshop or the training program where if it is planned, definitely stay connected with us. It will be informed to you, so that what you can say, it will be more useful for you people and us also in learning process.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And the other thing which I thought which came out during the FTP, sir, is the onus is more on the Department of Psychiatry when it comes to students' well-being. I somehow I feel like that should that responsibility should go to the other faculty also, other departments also. It shouldn't be like the Department of Psychiatry is have to take care, because the number of students in a university as such is highly challenging. So that is the reason I felt that more faculty training would be better.
Absolutely correct, madam. Because as you know, to who should start the program? Because as you know, counseling being a major part of the department of the psychiatry, they have taken the lead. That does not mean that it is limited only to the psychiatry department or to the student counselor. Any department or any faculty, irrespective of the department, of like-minded, as you told that even if many faculties are there, those are not related to the psychiatric department, but they want to, they think about the students and all these things. So it should be done by the like-minded people, those who are really thinking for the student. But as you know, somebody has to lead. So that's why this time we have started with the Department of the Psychiatric and the Salutogenesis Committee. And in fact, if you see all the faculties are basically from the either from the student counselor department or Department of the Psychiatry. But in subsequent FDPs, will be able to get faculty from different department for this what you can say workshop or this type of FDP, so that what you can say that ideas or that picture of the salutogenesis or counseling related to only to the psychiatry department will go off. Thank you, ma'am.
So thank you, sir. So any participants, if you wish to provide any feedback, please, you can unmute and provide your valuable feedback about the overall FTP sessions.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
So it is really, though I missed some few sessions, really it is a very thought-provoking and need of the hour. Because everywhere now the buzzing word is the humanity, humanism, and student wellness, and of course the new terminologies like salutogenesis and the components, how to implement mentor-mentee system, and every aspect of that is very well discussed through various faculty, not only from your institution, I think even from the AIMS faculty, all over many faculty discussed on that, and it was very good and nice experience. I learned it, but I felt that some sessions I could not attend due to my official reasons. And thank you for sharing the recordings. I hope that will give a good guidance for me. Yes, one madam spoke it is better to have some more sessions and little elaboratively on the mentorship, how to good mentor, what is our limitations as mentor, all those things. If we have a little bit more sessions, that will be very useful for us, sir. Thank you. And is it possible to have a sessions little bit in the late evening, sir? Is it possible? Because during official time, we find it very difficult to attend sometime.
Ma'am, yes, that's a challenging for us also, because everybody wants to walk within the 4 o'clock. So anything goes beyond 4 o'clock is difficult, as you know, like holding the students in a class for 1 hour. So we also find difficulty in coming down the online numbers also. As it clicks, the clock clicks 4 o'clock, the number, the countdowns comes down also. So no, that can be done. But as you know, like afternoon also, suppose we'll have that session, no guarantee that everybody will get benefit. We'll think over it. Maybe we can have, suppose some that type of request come, we can see the timings. One of the I think we'll put it in a feedback form also. How was the timing related to that one, based on things, whether it is possible on Sundays, Saturdays, holidays, we can think of. But as you know, like conducting, because we are at present, we are conducting physically to, as you know, like I prefer the physical contact is better than the online contact. Those things when you are conducting after class hours will be a little bit difficult. We can have it online, and that is what I can say. And we'll take the feedback based on your opinion. We can next sessions and all these things we can plan.
Because I feel bad, sir, missing the session.
Thank you.
That's why
no,
I
I think
you.
That's what I can say. We are providing all YouTubes. In fact, I'll request our organizing secretary to keep this WhatsApp group live for some more time, so that whatever deficiency, suppose whatever any other clarification you need, or resource material you need, please put it into the chat box so that we can provide you, and so that what you can see, you will not feel that you have missed anything out of it.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your valuable feedback.
Sir, and one more request, sir, if I can
Yes, ma'am.
ask. It would be very nice if we can have a collaboration between the colleges, sir. Because we are just coming up. We would like to initiate a committee here. We would like to start a committee here. So we are, I would be very happy to collaborate with your college and get guidance and support. So if there is scope for that collaboration,
You're
sir.
always welcome, ma'am. That type of collaborative. Suppose any later we get officially also, we can think of that how our salutogenesis committee can help to come up your salutogenesis committee. That can be done. That is not an issue at all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Now we'll move before the validatory function, we would request Dr. Padmavati ma'am, Vice Principal Students Affairs, to share a few words about this FDP program.
Actually, the FDP, it was started, I think it's in December, no, sir? The idea of the FDP in December, we have started. And actually, the meticulous planning of the Department of Psychiatry, especially I have to mention Dr. Shivaprakash sir and Dr. Vimalanathan and Ms. Monica have taken so much pain in initiating, and they have contacted the resource persons and they have put plenty of effort on this FDP. And actually, we got a good response of nearly 150 delegates, both inside and outside. But since all of you are aware that it runs across 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, and the sessions are nearly 8 sessions, we could not get all the participants for all the sessions, but we tried our level best to keep them informed, and whatever the resources available, we have shared to them. In their absence, we have shared the videos also. So I think they have done, the Department of Psychiatry have done a good job along with the student counselors. And definitely we got the day-to-day feedback, what we received from the delegates also. I went through the, particularly they have expected what they have expected, it has been received by them. Only few have asked for resource materials and the timings, and certain factors, hindering factors are there. So we will try to sort it out and make a better future FDP on this again. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we may please request Dr. Sitish Ghosh sir, Dean MGMCRA, to share his views about the FDP.
Thank you, Priya. As you know, like this FDP of this kind in our MGMCRA, or the university rather to say, is being conducted for the first time. And as you know, we had lot of apprehension starting from the how to go about it, and who should be the audience, and how to maintain that audience throughout because when any FDP goes on more than 2 weeks and all these things, it was a challenging for us. I must thank the idea given by our Vice Chancellor, sir, Professor Subhash Chandra Parija. Yes, and all the department, like Department of Psychiatry and the student counselor, in spite of their difficult task or the other commitment and all these things, we could able to do it in a proper in a manner what we feel should be done. But yes, at the same time, I know that it is not the perfection the way what we expected, and why we wanted your feedback is very valuable to us, because everything depends upon the feedback, and that is a score. Based on your feedback, only subsequent sessions will be trying to improve. Any other, I'll request all the participants to, if they want any specific focus things, please put it into the chat box, and so that what you can say, based on your feedback, the future sessions we can plan. And yes, I'm happy that at least it was a commitment from the salutogenesis committee to our Vice Chancellor that yes, we'll be completing this feedback, so this FDP, and this nature, this type of FDP, like spreading over a period of 8 weeks. You can ask why it is getting spreading over a period of 8 weeks. It could have been done in 1 or 2 session or 1 or 2 focus day. Yes, there is one hidden agenda was I'm just disclosing it, which may help other institution to conduct this type of FDP, because as you know, suppose your institution is going for NAC accreditation. As per any accreditation body, the FDP of that, what we normally feel, what you can say 1 day or 1 hour, 2 hour session is not acceptable by them. So that is why what you can say minimum of 8 days, 8 days duration of FDP is what you can say, it will be considered as a FDP. So that's what you can say, they have not mentioned about the hours. So to make it 8 days, so you can show that these FDPs you have attended from this date to this date. So, and you can mention the days. They don't ask about the hours and all these things. So that will be valid FDP, considered FDP for the accreditation purpose also. So that is why we try to spread it what you can say 8 days, weekly twice, making the session, and hope as from our side, whatever information you need or whatever assistance you need, please put it into the chat box. We'll make it official so that both, as you know, everything as at yesterday's session, you know that what I can say, nothing happens without collaboration. Yes, collaboration also, we are ready to collaborate with the institution. That will improve your capacity. At the same time, that will improve our insight how to develop in a better way. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, we may please request Dr. Shiva Prakash sir, HOD Department of Psychiatry and the organizing chairperson of this FDP, to kindly share his few words about the FDP.
Thanks, Pooja. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon to all. I'm sorry that I'm unable to be there in person since I had to apply for leave this week, some urgent personal work. Dr. Vimal requested me to say a few words as organizing chairperson during this valedictory. Thanks, Dr. Vimal. Though this is not actually the vote of thanks, but as organizing chairman, I have to take this opportunity to personally thank our Dean Sir, VP Madam, Dr. Vimal, Ms. Monica, and Dr. Vimal and Monica have put in tremendous effort. Student counselors, Ms. Priya and Ms. Josephine, Institute of Salutogenesis and Complementary Medicine, Department of Psychiatry, AIMS, Kalyani, all the eminent resource persons and all the participants. I'm truly grateful to all for making this FDP possible. This program was actually conceptualized in November 2022. The idea was mooted by our Dean Sir and then taken forward by our team under his guidance. We were initially a bit apprehensive since we were also busy getting ready for a major international conference in Jan 23. But looking back at the last 4 weeks, I'm grateful that we were given this opportunity. It's been a very good learning experience for us too. And it's especially an honor that our Dean placed his trust and faith in our Department of Psychiatry. And I hope we've been able to live up to his expectations. Definitely, as was pointed out earlier, we will collaborate with other departments too much more when we conduct this program in the future. We hope we were able to live up to the expectations of the participants too. Please do forgive us for any shortcomings during this FDP. Your feedback is valuable. We will do our best to address all issues raised. Thanks once again. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to request Dr. Vimal Nathan sir, Assistant Professor, Department of Psychiatry and the Organizing Secretary of FDP, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Pujo. A warm good evening to everyone. Thank you. Such a prayer that cannot be seen or touched. It must be felt by heart. I feel honored and privileged to get the opportunity to propose a word of thanks on this special occasion. So I, Dr. Vimal, organizing secretary of this event, MGMCRI, and the entire SBB family extend my most sincere thanks to everyone present here. I, on behalf of the organizing committee, convey my deep regards and hearty thanks to our founder and honorable chancellor, Sri M.K. Rajagopalan sir, for always supporting and encouraging us. I would like to express my deep sense of gratitude to our honorable vice chancellor, Professor Subhash Chandra Burja sir, for his constant support and guidance. I also extend my gratitude towards the advisory committee, Dr. Sitesh Ghosh sir, Dean, MGMCRI, and Dr. Padmavati ma'am, Vice Principal Students Affairs. They always helped us in obtaining the necessary administrative approval for organizing the event. Also, they have supported in all possible manner to organize this conference even in their busy schedules. Without them, this event won't be possible at all. So they also have supported and motivated in all manners to make this event successful. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. I would like to thank Dr. Zakka sir, Professor and HOD of AIMS, Kalyani, West Bengal, for collaborating with us and supported us constantly. Also, ICSM for collaborating with us. I would like to thank all the honorable delegates who blessed us with their presence. I'm also very much thankful to all the invited speakers of this FTP from day 1 to day 8. Words are not enough to thank their constant guidance and support to shape this FTP. I would also like to thank our beloved HOD and organizing chairman, Dr. Sivaprakash sir, for his constant help and guidance that radiated a source of energy within us. He put a lot of efforts and love into making this FTP a successful one. We will ever remain grateful to you, sir, and we thank you for being with us. So my sincere thanks to our treasurer, Ms. Monica, clinical psychologist, for taking responsibility and done an immense work to successfully conduct this conference. So thank you, Monica. We have been fortunate to assist by our executive members, Ms. Josephine and Ms. Priya Philip, for the enormous work, especially Mr. Josephine ma'am, for all her groundworks as she was running here and there to do all the make things available here. So thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. So today, my words are not enough to express my gratitude to the technical as well as IT support, Mr. Venkatraman and his team, Mr. Ram, Mr. Praveen, Mr. Vasant, Mr. Gokul, for maintaining an uninterrupted program in this venue, as well as for the smoothly conducted of this conference. Technically, as they put a lot of efforts in making sure that the Zoom connectivity available constantly. So I would like to thank Dr. Vigneshwar, Assistant Professor, for his constant support and given us a lot of encouragement. I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to my department colleagues, both faculties and PGs, as they always stand by me and motivated me. I feel proud and thank you for making this event a successful one. I thank from my bottom of heart to Dr. Pooja Govind and Dr. Sahiti, psychiatry PG residents, for the enhancing comparing skills and then other supports. I would be failing in my duty if I did not thank Mr. John from Deanery for his enormous works and support from the beginning onwards. And even after the dimension cannot happen overnight, the wheels start rolling months in advance. We have been fortunate enough to be backed by a team of very motivated and dedicated MBBS CRIs for their groundworks and photographic skills. I cannot thank everyone enough for the involvement they have shown and the willingness they have expressed to take in the completion of tasks beyond their comfort zones. Thank you all. So I also like to bring the light to work by all the supporting staff from all the cadres in MGMCRI and thanking them for supporting us. I fall short of my duty if I don't thank the members of the housekeeping, maintenance, and all the excellent works and help given in organizing this FTP. I extend my heartfelt apologies to anyone if I missed and it was purely unintentional. If time is money, then today you have spent million for us. So thanks to all for your making this event successful. To conclude with Tirukural, காலத்தினார் செய்த நன்றி சிறிதெனும் மானத்தின் ஞானத்தின் மானப்பெரிது. So which means a timely help, though small, is of greater value than all the earth. So thank you. So please stay touch in our WhatsApp group. So we'll share all the remaining details with you in the WhatsApp group. With this, I remind, thank you. I thank you all.
Thank you, sir. So we may please request everyone to please kindly raise for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
Thank you. We